morning, good evening, good night, whatever time you're watching this. Hi guys, welcome back to the My Health My Way podcast. Lovely to have you.
Sorry.
We're here to make health conversations more accessible and definitely more
fun.
Come on, sweetie.
Fun.
I'm your host. I'm one of your hosts. I'm talking into my podcast. I'm your host, Dushy Kuria, and these are the ladies are
Phinie Ndegwa.
And I'm Dr. Samira.
And today we are joined by a personal friend who I was with in high school. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. Yeah, way back in the day, those days, in that time. The amazing, beautiful, extremely gorgeous, actually.
Wow.
Dr. Stella.
Welcome
to the podcast.
Thank you.
So happy to have you here.
Thank you.
So happy to see you also again after so many years.
It's fantastic.
Yeah.
After those Maro days.
Oh my
Remember?
God.
Can you please give us some like
Maro
some
is?
things on Dushy?
Yeah, we need
some
Dushy.
information.
What more
We
would
need
you
some
need than I
tea.
have already
Please.
given you?
I don't
Surely.
think she's changed much. She's the
Actually.
same person.
Oh,
Well,
that's
so cute. That was what,
Because
14
Mimi
years?
the
More
Yeah,
than?
let's not even count the
Yeah.
years. I don't think that's,
I think
that's
it'll
not
expose
healthy.
your
It
age.
was
It was before Phinie's time.
I wasn't conceived.
I think you were in,
I was in the womb.
you were in utero when I was in high school as well. Come at me correct. Sweetie, I'm elder.
I shouldn't call you mama.
Auntie.
Hi, ma'am.
Oh,
Thank you, ma'am.
surely.
Hi, wow.
Anyway, so we're going to get into a conversation about brands and generics when it comes to medication. And Dr. Samira, I want you just to take it away, sweetie.
Yeah, and before we do that, I think we give Stella like a bit of 5 minutes, 10 minutes to just tell us about her lovely self, because let me tell you, the things I could say about Dr. Stella.
Hey, you said
I know that. Her LinkedIn CV that I have on my head.
You have a LinkedIn CV.
Hey, let me
You're
tell
obsessed
you.
with Akidogo.
I'm obsessed with
Yeah, you're
Akidogo.
obsessed
Yeah.
with Dogo.
Yeah.
But I get it.
I need to get a restriction.
Yeah, you do. I know a lawyer. Send me a text.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. So anyway, my name is Dr. Stella Kiptanui. I'm a pharmacist by profession with over 10 years experience both in the public sector and private sector. I work for MYDAWA. I head the B2B commercial. I do regulatory affairs and quality assurance.
Wow.
Let me tell you, the things she does at MYDAWA, we have to do this. So you do?
KYM wa MYDAWA.
Yeah.
Commercial, regulatory, quality assurance.
Madam
the rest.
Moneymaker.
Oh my goodness, I just need her
Madam
that.
Show Up.
Earlier on, she was telling us
Madam
the list
Yash.
of what she does
Yeah.
with our director. And you were telling us about the things that you do when it comes to the medication and making sure things are registered. Yeah, you know.
Exactly.
And I was like, what is that?
And she's here
What
being
is
humble.
going on here?
Yeah, you're being modest.
She's here being
What?
humble.
Yeah, she's being very modest
Yeah.
about her introduction. Yeah. And when you said 10 years experience, it just hit me that we've been in the working space for 10 years.
Exactly.
Probably more than.
Possibly more than,
And I
depending
just
on
arrived
when
the
you
other
started
day.
your hustle.
Oh my God, surely. And I was just born the other day. Shocking.
So now we can now finally talk about what is this brands versus generic that we've been hearing about.
Okay. So, Dushy, I like what you asked. Yes, I take part in registration of products at MYDAWA. So basically, what happens in the market is an innovator company will come up with a molecule. So somebody has sat somewhere in a lab, done all this research and development, and they've taken it through preclinical trials through animals, they've taken it through clinical trials in humans, and that's usually a very extensive research that they've done. So what happens when somebody has come up with this molecule, it needs to be patented. So usually it's about 20 years. So they'll have exclusivity in the market to sell this product.
Okay.
And that's what you call a brand or original product, if you want to use that. But let's use the word branded product. So a lot of the multinationals you'll see then will have exclusivity in the market to sell it. And therefore you will find this product will be known by that particular brand name. You'll find if Stella had made her own product, I'd be like, Stelzy.
And just like that, you had it last year, it's called Stelzy.
Our next MYDAWA
Brand.
is called
Yeah.
Stelzy.
Yeah, and that's what it will be called, like for that amount of time that patent needs to
It holds.
And then after that, once it's gone, once it's off, then a generic company can now come in and manufacture that
the
product.
same thing.
The same thing.
Okay.
So it needs to be pharmaceutically equivalent in the sense this. it needs to be the same drug compound. It needs to be
What
the
does
same
that
strength.
mean?
Drug compound, I mean that active ingredient.
the
The
molecule.
molecule that's acting, like if it's working on a certain receptor in the stomach, and I'm sorry to use big words.
Okay, we learned about
Hey, we had
receptors.
receptors, by the way.
Oh,
Dr.
fantastic. So if it's working on a certain receptor, that same drug molecule, a generic company needs to use that particular drug compound.
Okay.
That's not the active pharmaceutical ingredient.
Okay.
It needs to be the same strength. So if it's 500 milligrams, it's still 500 milligrams.
Okay.
It needs to be in the same route of administration, meaning, is it an oral? Is it an inhaler? Are you injecting it? Are you taking it as a suspension? So it needs to still be the same. And also, so I've talked about the strength, route of administration, and the drug compound. And so dosage form and all that. Oh, and dosage form, if it's a tablet and all that.
So it has to be a tablet.
It has
still.
to be. So
it cannot be injectable when it was an original
so you
tablet.
you can't interchange. For example, if you say Panadol tablet, or let me use paracetamol tablet, and then it still needs to be a paracetamol tablet. It can't be like a paracetamol injection, for example.
Got you.
So a generic has to be of the same dosage form. That's what you call now.
I
One
can't-
is branded and one is generic.
But then I heard that for you to get this patent, and you can correct me, Dr. Stella, you can't keep information. You have to say
exactly
this
what.
is my product, these are my
Exactly.
molecules, this is how I'm going to make it. So for 20 years, as generics, we're just in the lab, copy and paste.
Chilling for it to be
Control
done.
Z,
Do your
Control
R&D
V.
now, Jesse,
Exactly.
but just with the exact same, because you have the cheat code.
Yeah.
Let's call it the
Literally.
cheat code.
You have the
Exactly.
cheat code, so all you're doing is just making sure that you're making it in the exact same format,
Yeah.
and just maybe labeling it differently.
Yeah.
Also, you can rename the product.
You can now
according
rename
to,
the
let's
product.
Say, the company that's now making a
Exactly.
generic.
Yeah.
And
So, for example, now if my Stelzy was the brand, then Samira will come. What would you want to name your generic
Oh
product?
damn, that's so much pressure.
Samzy.
No.
So that would be the generic.
Fine, but I'm gonna give you guys a better name. Let's go with Samzy.
Yeah,
We'll go with
for now.
Samzy.
Yeah, Samzy for now.
Okay. So basically now what then happens when now this particular generic is being made, the differences comes in the excipient that they're using. Excipient.
Expedient, exception, sensational.
Exterminate.
What does that mean? Exterminator. What? And a word?
So an excipient in a product is basically the inactive part of the drug, like the inactive drug compounds in the product. So what I mean is, when a product is being made, so you have the drug molecule, that's the active ingredient,
Okay.
and then you have other things called like bulking agents, the coloring, binding agents, things like that are added on so that you can make a tablet. Because you'll find the paracetamol aspect is like 500 milligrams, but you need to still make it look like a tablet.
Right.
Yeah.
So there are other
You know,
things.
so
Yeah.
it needs to be diluted. Like for example, if it's in a suspension, what is it being added so that when you add water, it's able to mix
or a capsule.
exactly like that. So those are the excipients. So what now will vary between now my product, my branded, and Samira's would be the excipient that Samira now will use.
Okay.
So as you said, there's a cheat code.
Yeah.
As a brand, I've said, so mine has XYZ, has the drug compound, and then it has this excipient. So what it has maybe XYZ, then Samira will come and say, I want to put A and then X and Y, for example,
Right.
as the excipient. That's how
Right.
now we'll differ.
Right. Okay.
Exactly.
Okay.
But ideally, it should still be bioequivalent. By bioequivalent, I mean it should still have the same effectiveness in the body. So as much as you are adding another excipient in the product, it shouldn't differ in matters like effectiveness, in matters purity, and how it acts in the body.
Okay.
Yeah.
I love
and
that.
that's now the difference. But otherwise, the drug compound, if it's paracetamol, for
same.
example, it's the
It's the
same.
same.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Actually,
Why?
Yeah. Sweetie, go ahead.
Let me ask a question. So, for example, I walk into a pharmacy and I say, okay, I want Piriton. And then is there a generic for Piriton?
The generic.
That
They're
is
generics. And they say, I have generic. Usually people shy away or fear from buying a generic because they think it is less in quality or it's fake. Or So you've clarified the fact that it literally is the same thing. So I shouldn't shy away if I go on online or to a chemist and they tell me that they have a generic.
You shouldn't.
Okay.
Exactly.
Perfect.
I think what I'm curious about is, let me talk about a particular drug I was using, Lexotanil, which helps with anxiety. for a while there, it was out of stock in the country for a few months, actually, almost a year. So there was a generic that was in play. But when you were talking about how when they're making the generic, you said the strength also has to be the same. Lexotanil is 3 mg per tablet, which I never even used to pay attention to the mgs in medicine until this, because you can also overtake something, especially with something like for anxiety. So it was 3 mg, but the generic was 1.5. Would that still make it a generic?
So it
Per tablet now.
Per tablet. So that particular brand that you were taking at 1.5, I'm sure there's a brand there was a branded equivalent of it. You get what I mean?
Okay, so Lexotanil was not its branded equivalent. So there was another.
There was so there's probably there was
Okay.
one for 3 mg and another one for
1.5.
1.5. So the one now you got was the
3
1.5
mg.
version of the original 1.5.
Got you.
Yes.
Okay.
So then that meant you needed to take two tablets
them.
so that you're able to meet your.
So my heart rate can just reduce and chill. Like, cause what's up? Just your pata.
Yeah. So if your prescription was 3 mg, unfortunately, then with
Yeah, you
that
have to
one you had to take 2 tablets.
So it has to be the exact same milligram.
Exactly.
Or the strength has to be the exact same for the generic to be a generic of an original.
Yes.
That's so
Perfect.
interesting, actually.
Perfect.
Yeah, because
Yes.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I
They
didn't
had to
either.
be the
I
same.
always thought generic.
Yeah.
Tuko na generic.
So,
Generic.
yeah, as I'm not doing this,
You should
I'm
never
not-
shy away from that.
Can we also? I'm curious. Why are they cheaper? What makes them cheaper?
Yes, that's a good question. So basically, if you think about an innovator company has come up with a new molecule, meaning it's putting all its resources in
Blood,
doing
sweat, and
R&D.
tears.
Exactly. R&D, it's not cheap.
Yep.
It's not cheap. So they must recover whatever they've plugged into this research and development. So therefore, you will find a branded would be significantly on the higher side. But a generic compound now will come in and they've not done R&D. Actually, it's already been done for them if you think about it. So all they're coming now is to just prove
Copy and
its
paste.
effectiveness, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So they have to
Testing.
compare, they have to be comparable. So that if you think about it, the blood, sweat and tears the innovator company has gone through and versus what they've done, they've already, half the job has already been done for them.
yeah.
So you will find then generics will be definitely cheaper because there's no aspect of recovery of costs and things like that.
And you get
Yeah.
20 years at least.
Yes.
So you have the
Test
patent.
efficacy.
Exactly.
I even thought
To recover.
I thought it was 10 years.
Yeah, so
It's 20.
It's usually
20 is
20.
long. Hey, you've collared that R&D dough.
Yeah, you
Bro,
hopefully you're making back.
Hey,
Hopefully you're
I'm
making
sure
back
you've
your
recovered
money.
even more. Come on, 20 years.
You cannot
They
do
must
so.
have.
Possibly.
Yeah.
Or even more. It's called
Let me
big
tell
pharma
you.
for a reason, sweetie. Not
What do
small
you mean
pharma.
20 years? That's
Yeah,
long.
it's a long time.
Yeah.
It's a long time.
Interesting. So now, I know you had mentioned like you're participating in part of the registration of products. Can you walk us through and tell people that
okay.
MYDAWA has its own products?
Yeah. Come on, this is a MYDAWA team. Powered by MYDAWA. That's what we are actually.
So basically, we have a board in Kenya, the Pharmacy and Poisons Board, who regulate the registration of products. You're looking at also doing inspections. Basically, if you're looking at the pharmacies and the warehouses that are being brought up, they are part of that regulatory aspect. And then you're also looking at, they also do post-market surveillance, so going out there to check, is this medicine as effective as they said it was at the point of registration? So what happens then as a generic company, you apply. You basically have this whole dossier that you submit to Pharmacy and Poisons Board for evaluation. Other than that, above and beyond Pharmacy and Poisons Board, also go to the manufacturing companies. So if your manufacturing company, for example, was in India, was in the US, in the States, whatever, they would go and actually do inspection just to make sure that they abide to good manufacturing practices. And so once you've gotten that approval to manufacture, you've already brought in your dossier, it's applied, they also are able to check. One of the things that they're very strict on is also to give comparative studies between the brand and your product.
Okay.
So that means, that's a word I keep using, bioequivalent. It needs to be the same. It needs to have the same action. It still needs to have the same effectiveness.
Yeah.
And even safety-wise, right? The safety profile needs to be the same or even better, for example. So PPB are involved in that, and therefore that's how a product would be registered in the market as a generic and then now distributed by, like for example, now MYDAWA, who we brand our own products and distribute in the market. So already there's a regulatory board that deals with that, and therefore even to the common man, it's very important to know that people just can't bring in medicine. It has to go through the regulator and have it approved. And it's very good for you to find out, is this product approved? There's actually a site you can go and actually type in and say, and ask. Yes, and see whether your product is, I'll maybe share a link. I'll share a link. You can just go actually and find out, is this brand actually approved by Pharmacy and Poisons Board? It's actually there.
Oh my goodness, I had no idea. We'll put it in the description box.
Yes, we'll do that.
Boss has said he'll put it.
So it's very good to know that there's quite a good regulatory body in the country, and it's to appreciate the work they do. Oh, and then now, other than above and beyond that, now as I said, they do pharmacovigilance, which is basically for big words. So basically, they go and do post-market surveillance. They go now take packs in the market and take them for tests to see. So you said this product of yours is as good. So they go test it to see, is it, for example, is it the same dosage you had said it's gonna be? Is it as effective, the efficacy aspect of it? So is that what is happening in the market? And if there's an issue, you will always see red flags. You'll find aspects of recalls. I know the other day you saw a recall, I think, for Benylin, things like that. So you'll see now that's the proactiveness now the Pharmacy and Poisons Board have on that. Yeah, and then also they've empowered us to be able to report aspects of adverse drug reactions. For adverse drug reactions are like an unexpected reaction you had with the product. So there are those side effects, but then you'll find something has happened that's above and beyond what you should have expected from that medicine. Yeah. So there are actually forms that you can go on their website, and I think I'll also share that, that somebody can go and actually report poor quality and also adverse drug reactions that you had.
Like I was supposed to end up with a running stomach, but then I ended up with like I was keep chugging. Like just do a small light jog, just quick jog, then I was keep chugging. I feel like that would be a situation where now you're having adverse effects that are unexpected, right? Okay.
So at least there are those avenues for you to report issues that you experience with medicine.
Yeah, I was going to even ask you, did you know you could report?
I didn't know that.
Yep.
I didn't know.
Yeah.
Because I want to report things. I want to be a Karen sometimes.
You know?
I want to be a Karen. Give me the opportunity to just say my thoughts.
Yeah.
Just write and tell people things.
And it's good feedback, by the way.
It's important. Or even good feedback.
It is.
Like it's good, whether you're giving them like an adverse drug reaction, whatever feedback you're giving is good feedback for them, because they continue maintaining quality in the market, because now you are also part of this feedback loop.
I didn't know you could leave reviews
and not just the pharmacy.
Yeah, it is a Yelp for like
very
meds.
nice.
That's exactly what it is.
The Karens are just like, say less.
You don't gotta tell me twice. I wanted to ask, there's an episode, I don't know what episode we're talking about, and I'll give you the example of in my 20s, all that, you know, that time way back, when there was
fake P2. Is it the fake P2? The fake P2.
So there was a time when Postino, there was people were getting pregnant left, right, center, and they were using Postino. And then they came up with this concept where when you buy it, there's like they used to scratch for airtime. Way back in the day. I don't know if you there was a time that police buy airtime from shops.
Has she ever bought?
I was not born.
Were you born? Okay, so we used to scratch airtime. So there was also a place where Postino gave the option of like scratching at the back of the you need to confirm that the brand, that the product you're getting is actually an original and will actually work. And it wasn't about even just misuse. There was the fact that there was actually fake drugs in the market. So does that happen often? And how does that, considering all these measures that you're talking about that exist when it comes to medication and it being in the country, how do fakes then get into market, and what measures are there also against those so that people can also be getting the right medication?
So yes, I actually remember that, and I think there was a whole uproar about it.
Yeah.
And people call it briefcase importing. You know, you just want to bring it back door and stuff like that just to sell. So it is a concern in the market, aspects of counterfeit. And that's why I talked about now this whole post-market surveillance that happens now with Pharmacy and Poisons Board. There's the aspect of us also wanting to just reporting. When something hasn't worked for you, it's good to say, I took this medication and this product didn't work for me. You get, if you were having a flu or if you are taking, for example, an antibiotic and it didn't work for you, it's good for you to report so that proactively, as you know, you've been empowered as Mwananchi to be able to do that. So please make sure you're also reporting. But the surveillances that are happening out there, it's also good for us to I know there's also an anti-World Counterfeit Day. I think it's actually very soon. I need to confirm.
Oh, I want to know. Let me Google.
Can you check? Yeah, there's a whole day for that. Just to be able, to create awareness.
Like, guys, celebrate.
This is here.
Celebrate.
It's not celebrating. It's good for us to talk about these things.
It's a holiday. It's not tree planting.
Sweetie,
No.
It's like, I'll be tree planting
holiday.
this to everybody in Kenya.
Yes. But at least to make everybody aware that this thing
You said anti-world what day?
Counterfeit.
Counterfeit.
Yes.
That's amazing. To not bring awareness.
Bring awareness to the fact that there is this aspect, and it's good for us to report.
Yeah.
15th June.
PPB can't be everywhere, but
Right.
it's also good to empower yourselves to know, okay, Sawa, this drug didn't work for me. How do I then report? Or I again flag and say, guys, there's an issue with this product.
Yeah.
Fake P2s. Yes, people who are getting pregnant, but people who are probably reporting, and that's why they brought in a measure.
Exactly.
For you to be able to figure out if your P2 is original or not, then you do the scratch to reveal.
Scratch to
Well,
reveal.
it's a scratch card.
It was a scratch card in the back of the box.
Scratch card.
It was very exciting, actually.
So that's probably it, actually. And I'm sure a lot
We
of
go to
our
our
viewers
exam really
didn't
good.
even know.
You just have to have a
About-
coin ready for
Actually,
scratching that
first of all,
card.
we used to have coins. You know there was a time, young lady.
Coin.
When I used to carry coins in my, I used to have
Coin.
coin.
Coin pass. Coin
You
pass.
are more than that person. She was like, she's a
byproduct of the
She said, not today. Not today, sweetie.
Wow.
She's the one who went to the party.
The customers. Okay. So,
Interesting.
5th and 6th of June
Yes.
is the anti-counterfeit symposium.
Yes.
It's a symposium, Kwanza. Do you even-
What is that?
What's a symposium?
It's a conference.
It's a conference. A symposium is a conference. So they have a conference where they discuss. Yeah, we know a lot.
Simple.
That's simple. You know,
Simple.
Simple. Simple. So, yeah. So I really love the fact that there's also those avenues of being able to report. We did not know this, and I think a lot of people will be shocked and pleasantly surprised to find out that you can now actually give your feedback and also even find out the meds that when you're taking a generic, is it also, you said the registration, you can check and confirm, because you don't want to get something that at the end of the day you can't even report because it's not supposed to be here in the first place.
Yes.
I wanted to ask about patents. And other people who just say, yeah, patent schmatent, I'm going to do what I want to do. And Phinie, the way you've looked at me, I've questioned my whole life, right? Keep the Sweetie, remember I'm your elder, right? I'm your elder, sweetie.
Please ignore
I
Phinie.
said patent schmerent. Do people just throw caution to the wind and just continue making?
And what happens to those people?
And what happens
Yeah.
if someone decides, or a country decides to ignore the patent and ignore the timelines given for the patent and just start making their generic and start pushing it inside their market?
I think you're a lawyer, you would understand the consequences.
I am a lawyer
patent.
just by term.
Yeah.
Don't
But
call
remember.
me for legal advice, by the way, guys.
But then
Wakili,
now-
1 minute. I don't have a minute.
Wakili, quick one.
Yeah, so what would be?
So
And does it happen also?
it happens, but if there was an aspect of public health concern, let me give an example like the COVID vaccine. I'm sure if it was something that was developed and there was no COVID at that time. There was a public outcry or a public health issue. There's a pandemic, basically, you're looking at that.
Right.
Then they would have to go through the patent and be able to now enjoy that 20 years. But because of an epidemic or something, a pandemic that's happened, then definitely you will find aspects of patent has been thrown out.
Yes.
And I feel like that's where you would have patent. You said what? What was the word you were?
Patent.
It's not.
You would throw it out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's not something
Because it's an emergency.
That would be an emergency, a public
multiple
health
people
concern,
concerned,
an
yes.
epidemic, pandemic that's already been declared. So definitely aspects of patent would go outside the window.
out the window.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting. Who controls? I don't know if I should ask this, but like, who controls the patent stories? Like, is it like
Patent
a
board of the world.
is there like a patent body of the world that does this?
Yeah, it's actually right where the UN is next door.
Yeah.
They have like a
Is there
small
a
office.
button
There's like a
there?
small red door
there.
that no one pays attention to. You enter there's a secret floor underneath. level 35 downstairs. So you
Guys, this is hilarious.
Kusema ukweli.
Wakili will
Team.
tell us.
Hey guys,
check
for my
the
legal
patent
career, if ever
body.
there was one, can you find out if there's a place where
Patent
you
body.
register patents for the world?
Yeah. And
Like
as this crew that is just laughing behind
As a
the
universal
camera.
body. Because
We're just
patents apply
entertaining
across
them.
the world.
Yeah.
Exactly, they do.
Yes, it's
As they're checking,
debatable.
I'm also curious. Dushy mentioned like there's a time where Lexotanil was out of stock, and it's not just Lexotanil, by the way.
That was the generic, but I don't think it was a generic of. But I remember a lot of people I was talking to on social media. Sorry to interrupt you.
It's okay, no worries.
A lot of people I was talking to on social media we couldn't find Lexotanil. So we were a community of like, such to do.
Tuko to
God, my
anxiety.
country is at 120, sweetie.
Tuko to
Stop it.
anxiety.
So
It's called the World International Property.
Yes.
Intellectual
Property.
Organization.
I told you, follow universe.
Kuna Mkenya huko kweli.
People.
There is
People.
no the Kenyan.
No,
We've taken
We
me
have a
back.
website where you can check.
Sorry, I had a question. India is very well known as the generic drug kingpin. Why is that the case? Because why is that the case? Simply put.
Okay, so India has invested quite a lot in healthcare. As you all know, there's a lot of medical tourism that's happening there. So you'll find a lot of people who are going for treatment in India. And it's just because they've invested in the infrastructure, but have also invested in these companies that manufacture these products. And I know a lot of them are also trying to get as much as possible WHO accreditation and all that. So you'll find even our own MYDAWA branded products come from India at the moment. And it's just because of that, just the investment they've put in that aspect of just healthcare. Both from providing medical services and also just aspect of just manufacturing. So you'll find quite a number of states have different manufacturing sites. Actually, most of the states in India have that. And I think it contributes to quite a big part, a big chunk. I don't know the amount of their economy.
Right, but a big chunk. I don't know if you guys have been to India for medical.
Oh, but I know a friend who has.
Wow, yeah,
Have
I've
you
been
been?
there taking my uncle. We went to a state called Chennai, and it was the most seamless process I have ever seen in my entire life.
Really?
Extremely. The way they speak to you, they walk you through everything. I was floored.
And it's pocket friendly.
And it's pocket friendly. And it was also my uncle had really big stomach obstruction that ended up being cancer. He came back here completely healthy. It's magical. Like, I don't know how to fully explain what that experience was like, considering how traumatic it was as a family, going through it and how they take you through the system. Their medical, how they have created the medical infrastructure in India is something to be written about and talked about. So I can imagine they've put the same amount of energy into research and development when it comes to medication as well, because also a lot of the medication you get when you're going through treatment there comes from India.
From those companies.
I'm still actually thinking about it. I'm still in awe. But and it's a small. Chennai is a big state, I think, but it's not a state like I knew about. I knew New Delhi,
Mumbai.
Yeah. So like
The Taj
I
Mahal.
had never heard of it. Right, I had never heard of it before.
Yeah.
And you go there, and the systems are Wow, from the airport, they just pick you and they take you to hospital. Yeah, and it's a hospital that picks you up.
We were with Dr. Stella and the team in the background in Meru in Jan. And I remember, so MYDAWA is currently like really pushing strong on this chronic disease management campaign where we are really trying to empower the patient who's hypertensive, diabetic, whatever chronic disease you're having, so that we can guide you on your journey. And I think some of the things we found was that a patient has a pack of meds that is running for a month. But that same pack, they want to extend it because it's a brand or it's slightly more expensive, but the doctor wrote it for them and they have decided, oh, this is the dawa I'm taking and I'm not changing, or even they don't know that there is alternatives. So them they're just taking that dawa that is expensive and they're not opening up to whoever it is, the support system, whoever it is. So you'll find instead of them taking the dawa every day, they're taking it either twice in a week or imagine, or 3 times in a week, so that it lasts the month, so that by the time they're going for the next appointment, they say, yes, nilichukua dawa, but did you ask how they took the dawa? No. So I think now what I wanted to ask Dr. Stella was, and Phinie can support me, is why should people on board onto this generic bandwagon more, and how does it?
How is MYDAWA actually supporting this struggle between generic and branding? How are you guys able to do that? Like you said, you guys were in Meru, and when you see such cases, that person it's not an isolated case. There's definitely many people who are actually doing those habits or following those habits because they don't know better.
So in my own opinion, if we are able to supply generic medication that's affordable to the client, I just feel like the patient would then be more adherent to their medication. And by adherent, I mean they're taking it the same time every day. Not just the way it's prescribed if you're going back to the doctor for follow-ups. So one of the things we need to make people aware is that generics work, that they work at the end of the day. And it's also good to also be, still going for your reviews so that you also, as I said, brand and generic have the same drug compound. They could define the aspects of excipients. There are some products that have like a narrow therapeutic index, like warfarin and things like that.
Sorry, what?
So, what I mean...
I was like, my brain went...
Narrow therapeutic index.
Wow,
in the sense that if you're going to give a lot, you might find somebody might not benefit as much in it, and if you give a lot of it, the person may have toxicity or bring other side effects. So those drugs that are given to some patients, they need to be closely monitored by the doctor. So what happens is that sometimes you'll find somebody will say, this brand works for me as opposed to this other brand. I don't know if you've ever had those conversations, but that means you'll need to be closely monitored by your doctor. But at the end of the day, if this person cannot even afford this brand A or either brand B, then it's going to be a struggle to meet any form of good outcome, right? So one of the things we just need to do we've done as MYDAWA is to ensure, one, we've stocked all forms of medication. So we have one branded product and we have the generics available on our platform. Number two, trying to source from reputable suppliers, distributors and manufacturers, so that we are also making sure that our promise to you, we're giving you quality medication. We're also trying to look at aspects of affordability and even programs like Mzima that are coming up to just ensure we also have partnerships with insurances. We're giving you preferential sort of, something that is pocket friendly. We want you to come back, because at the end of the day, if you're going to be skipping medication, you're not going to get better. You'll be coming back to the doctor and they can tell. I know, Samira, you can tell somebody like, no, you've not been taking your medication right. So it's just a matter of us creating awareness. I've loved this podcast. I hope it's going to help somebody to be like, generics work.
Even I now know.
And they do work. And it can actually improve patient outcomes, it can improve adherence, and at the end of the day, the patient has access. And that's the whole aspect of generic medications being in the market.
You know what's like, the truth is, it's not even by the way that Mwananchi out there, even myself, like I have insurance that my work gives me. I'm lucky. I'm one of the few lucky who probably gets insurance and it's not paid out of pocket. But I have to make sure the meds that I'm on for my IBD is enough for me to cover the entire my outpatient scheme, so that then I don't have to go out of pocket. But you see, I have the advantage of I can easily go to Dr. Stella and tell her, my doctor has prescribed this, can I use this alternative? And it will run for the entire year before I renew my insurance. So it's just playing with the patient's prescription so that whatever generics you're giving them, their insurance can last them the entire year, so that now they remain compliant on their meds. So I think that's just one of the few things we can easily do.
I'd also like to maybe I don't say sidetrack, but just brand this conversation a bit to the conversation we're having about antibiotics. Remember, I feel like this also is a great conversation to have. When you're talking about taking meds in the correct order, and I know this is maybe a bit branching off from the branded and generic conversation, but from a pharmacological point of view, you can let us know.
Good job.
Goodness, wow. You can let us know when you're told to take your medicine at dosage, especially with antibiotics, and that's why I want to talk about them particularly. I've been given antibiotics before and told, take it for 5 days. They give it to me on Thursday. I'm like, Saturday, Sunday, Friday, what's going on there? I want to be in the Sherehe, I want to be out there in the party. So you're there asking your doctor, can I take the antibiotics on drinks? Or do I start them later? Which then also has an effect on my health at the time, because I need them. By the time I'm going to the doctor, I need the antibiotics that are being prescribed. So I'd like us to have a conversation about taking your antibiotics the way you should, and what are the effects of, if I take them now, I take it on Thursday, then I take it on Friday, then I go and have a good time over the weekend, then I start again on Monday. Does that also affect? Because we're talking about this thing for people trying to stretch out meds, but there's also the bad habits that we have around antibiotics. And I know a lot of people in our age group are doing the same thing. So could you just advise us and educate us on what are the effects of the things that we're doing, and whether it is true that you can't take antibiotics, where you can't drink alcoholic drinks while you're taking your antibiotics?
Okay, that's such a common thing that happens.
Yeah.
Doctor, can I take
Yeah.
alcohol with this?
Yeah.
So among the conversations that have been happening a lot is awareness again on antimicrobial resistance.
Okay.
Basically, that happens when you're not adhering to your medication.
Okay.
In the sense that you have been prescribed MYDAWA for like 3 months, for 3 days, 3 to 5 days, and in the middle of the duration that you're supposed to take it, you stop. And so what then that affects is so its mode of action is to work on the bacteria in your body. And that particular prescribed time is the time that's needed to eliminate. And I'm really using words very eliminate that, or basically help your immune system work better. Okay. And so then if you're going to cut short that particular duration, and then now this bacteria ends up now mutating. And so the next time you're going to take this antibiotic, probably the same one, it's not going to be effective. You're not going to see...
Remember the biceps?
Yes. You're not going to see any change. You're just going to go back to your doctor and like, no, that didn't work. And so what has happened, this particular bacteria is now mutated and is like, oh, okay, you're going to bring me X to work on me. I'm going to create another barrier that will inhibit that dawa to come in. And so now it's resistant to that particular molecule or compound you're bringing in. And so it's very good for you as you're taking your antibiotics, take it the way you have been prescribed or how the pharmacist has indicated you take it.
Weekend or not.
Weekend or not, drinks or not. You should, you should
be
not
drinking.
be drinking, but you shouldn't be saying because you're having drinks, let me postpone it, or let me cut it short on Friday and then come back on Monday. You're not good. You're not doing your body any justice. And so you're finding now a lot of cases of AMR, they call it AMR, that's happening in patients, and then you're finding them now requiring stronger and stronger antibiotics. And you see also these companies are going back to see how else can they work on this antibiotics so that they can work on this resistance that's happening. So this happens quite a lot also in kids, also introducing antibiotics very early in
their body systems.
There are times it's necessary, but also introducing it too early means also the bodies get used to it. Your body can't get used to things. I don't know if there's anything you've taken and you're like, okay, that's no longer working for me. Even makeup, even some skin
There's some
products and
antacids, by
things.
the way.
They
They
just
just
don't
tickle
work
me.
anymore.
And some antihistamines.
Yeah.
Tickle you.
They just tickle. They don't treat that
But you see,
you like them.
Yeah.
But you see now for antibiotic, it means that you will be needing stronger and stronger. And you see, as a body, it means, as for your body, it means also it needs to work on, fine, you've taken the medication, but it also needs to work on eliminating it. So you're really pumping and overworking your body if you're going to be taking stronger and stronger.
It's very important that we give the good Lord the feedback that bacteria didn't need to be intelligent to add another layer. Like that was an unnecessary
Another
thing.
defense
That was
system.
so unnecessary. Like surely,
Just trying to live.
sweetie, you're just
He
a
said,
bacteria.
"I'm just a
Just
bacteria."
come in here, make me sick, and then go away. You're smart enough to add a barrier. That's unnecessary. Yeah, that's very unnecessary.
Yeah.
But it's good to know. I feel like it's also a thing that I think maybe you face a lot when you see people come back and they're just like, okay, I tried it and then I stopped. Did you finish your dosage? Okay. After day 3, I was feeling great. And it's because I was heading to out of town that weekend. Now you want me to be out of town taking an antibiotic? And I'm not just here partying with my friends?
God said, be
Because I
halal.
got sick on Wednesday. Not a chance.
Another thing that's also happening is self-medication.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So,
Yes.
I have a katikli cough. It's something that's...
Throat.
And then
Then
that
kum-kum.
kadawa
Worked last time.
So you just get the same
You
drug.
go take it. Please, guys.
Stop.
Visit
We
your
need to stop.
physicians and your
Call
doctors
MYDAWA,
for this.
please.
Yeah.
We
Dr.
will.
Samira is here.
I'm those culprits.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you actually don't need that antibiotic. You are abusing it.
Yeah, 90% is just a viral infection, probably.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. Yeah.
So I also you guess how I had tonsillitis, that really bad infection. And the first time, okay, I might have lied that I went to clinic the first time. Okay, so I might have just went to say, give me that antibiotic. I know this thing. If I do mkum, is I'm feeling like that mkum. So I want to just give me the antibiotic. Then I took it, ended up on like intravenous.
Drips.
Yeah, for 3 days. I had to go to Hosi every day. I was the best patient though. I was getting there with
And possibly it's because that first dawa just stopped working for you.
Exactly. And maybe I didn't even need it, and I was having my
You
body
didn't need it.
full of antibiotics
Exactly.
for like a few weeks, not even just a week, a few weeks.
Yeah.
So it's good to know. Thank you for educating us. And me,
Carries
personally, I'm very educated today. I feel like I have a small graduation cup. Right
Yeah.
now. Yeah.
Yeah. I
This
think
has been
it's time for her challenge.
Yes, it is.
Oh, I love it.
Oh, that's good.
Insert drum rolls.
Yeah, please. Thanks, guys. Thank you.
Wow, thank you, team.
Team,
Wonderful
good,
team.
great job.
You're doing
Okay.
a good job. I hope you're also learning.
Yeah, they're learning a lot, by the way. Sana. Yeah, so
We have a challenge for you. The previous guests told us to give you a challenge, and they said you should dance for 20 seconds.
Okay.
You will dance? That was so fast.
Was there another option?
Yeah.
Yeah.
but-
What was the other option?
because you're
can
so nice
sing.
and benevolent.
No, she'll sing. It's okay.
I'd rather dance.
You'd rather dance?
She'd rather
Really?
dance.
Like it
Yeah.
won't be like coordinated, right?
No.
Like Priscilla like.
No?
No, you can give us your best.
Shout out Priscilla.
That was so fast. But, so let's go. She dances.
But
Yeah.
you're all dancing with me.
Eh?
Yes.
I
Not
didn't.
part of the
You're able to
challenge.
shake nyash.
That
Shake
is
nyash.
No.
that is
We're all
not
dancing.
part
Not
of
today.
the challenge.
Not
Please,
today.
no,
You know,
no.
Maybe I volunteer this to us.
I volunteer this shit.
You volunteer
One of
before
Actually,
three
let's go.
One of you guys.
Yay.
Or one.
You know
Yeah,
what?
do shit.
No one can stop reggae.
Let's play. Yay.
For all time's
I
sake.
love such
First
a
of all,
good
how do we
sport.
we just dance our own dances?
Yeah.
Aya, play.
We dance like how do you? Okay.
Stand.
Remember how did you dance?
Aya, play.
Oh, ha! Okay.
So play with it.
That's a
See the
hat.
hands. Yes. Come on, sweetie. Come on, play for me.
What is it called?
What are you?
So pop your legs and throw your keys up. Go round, round.
This is where we're sitting now.
Yes, yes.
This is
Yeah.
Yes.
That was so
I relate to
nice.
the dancer.
That was so lovely. And
Thank you.
we will give you the privilege to give a challenge to our next guests. So you can make it spicy, you can make it hard,
Make
you
it
can
hard.
make it whatever you want. Yo?
The pressure, it feels like pressure.
Who's your next guest? Oh, we
to
don't
be
know.
We don't know yet. by the
Friends.
way.
Friends.
Ah, okay, friends.
Let them sing.
All of them? That's gonna be
Each
chaotic,
and
and
every
I
one.
love
And
it.
there must be a soprano, a tenor,
And an alto.
I love
fantastic.
it.
I love
I
that.
love
We
it.
did this with Dushy when we were in
my
high school,
goodness.
so why not?
Yes.
It would
I
be
love
perfect.
that.
Perfect. I
I love
I can't have got one more perfect. I can't a cappella. I can't have the song that I know I want them to sing.
Oh,
Yes.
okay, great. Fantastic. That's
Let's sing that one. Yes. Yes, tunawamaliza.
This is
People finish
actually
kumalo.
well done. That was perfect. Perfect. Actually, thank you so much, Dr. Stella, for coming. You've educated us so much. I feel like this one, I'm living here feeling like okay, I need a graduation.
We're going to
cup.
patent a drug.
Actually, from
Chelsea and Samira.
Is there a lab somewhere we can go to? We can figure something out, sweetie. Let's
We'll
cook
go
some
koroga.
things out.
Cook some
Let's
stuff.
koroga some stuff. Guys, thank you so much for being here with us for another episode. We appreciate you so much for your continuous support of this channel and of this podcast. Please leave any questions and any comments you have in the comment section down below. You will have all the information down in the description box with regarding things and forms that we have spoken about, just for you to be able to have all this information for your everyday use. And follow us on all our social media platforms. We are under MYDAWA, YouTube. Under MYDAWA, there's a playlist for My Health, My Way podcast. And yeah, we have been your hosts. So lovely to have you. And until next time,
Adios.
bye guys.
Bye.